Hi, thanks for stopping by Patdoodles. Sit back, relax. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Today we're going to be making a simple project, a home sign using all Dollartree products. This is what the finished product looked like. I will also show it to you hanging on the wall. It's kind of large. This one is actually made out of cardboard, so it doesn't matter what your budget is. You can always create beautiful things. Today we're going to actually be using this Easter sign here. I did, remove the feet and everything. A little bow there. We're going to be actually using this side here. We're going to be using ribbon purchased at the Dollar Tree. The rope. I know a lot of people have been saying they've been having problems finding the rope. This is what the rope looks like. We're going to be using one moss sheet, and that was purchased at the Dollar Tree as well. Some sunflowers. Some other green. You can make this sign interchangeable if you want to. And of course, glue gun and scissors is the other things you'll need. And instead of painting my sign, I did opt to use burlap. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is to remove this here. And you can see you just poke it through there and you can take it back out. Set this aside because I will be using it later. So the next thing I'll do is take my burlap and measure it. You want this to be about 1 inch or 2 longer than your board. And I'm going to cut this right here. It's a little longer. You can set that aside now. Then starting here at the bottom, I put a little bead of glue. Just enough to hold it in place. And you notice my ribbon, my burlap is extended past there. Turn this to the back. Put a little glue. And fold that back up over to hold it in place. Along my sides, I also like to add a little glue here. And carefully lay this in place, matching the edges. This ribbon, I believe, is about 6 inches wide, and I bring that all the way to the top. When I get to the top of this, I make sure I smooth it out, and I put my little drop of glue here. Just enough to hold it so I can get everything nice and smooth. And turn it over here. And again, you're going to do the same thing, a little glue there. Now what I do when I'm actually making these, if I was going to sell this or something, I would probably cover this back with some real pretty scrapbooking paper or something. Then we can go on and we can insert this back in. And since the burlap have holes in it, it'll come right through. And let's do this side over here. So now we have our hanger on. Now the next step we're going to do is we're going to cut out our letters out of burlap. Out of this moss. And the moss comes in a sheet. And I made my letters the perfect size so I can get all 3 of my letters. We only need the H, M, and E, because your O is going to be a sunflower or a wreath or whatever you want. Even a bunny rabbit would be really cute for this time of the year. So I take my moss out of my pack, lay it down flat, and then I lay my letters on. You have to really be careful in positioning your letters if you want all 3 of them to fit on one sheet. If you notice, my E is right there in the corner. The M M can fit next to it and the H right there. I use like a Sharpie marker or something that where I can see, and I trace my letters. So there's the E. The M fits right next to it. And now my H. Position it and trace. Place my top. And these are all of my letters that I will be using. And you can cut your letters freehand, or you can like enlarge some letters in the Word program. And then you just can use regular scissors to cut these letters out. They're real easy to cut out. And don't worry if a little of the moss fall off, because you can always glue it back on. There's my E cut out. So I'm not going to take all your time, and because I already had pre-cut my letters out before we got started. So these are my letters here. So my H, you're going to skip your space for your M, and then the E. And you notice here, a piece of the moss has fell off. Just take your glue gun, put a little glue back on there, and just stick it right back in place. Very simple, okay? So that's basically how it will look. I like to leave a little space up here at the top. Oops, my scissors fell. Because this, I also like to decorate up here with a bow. So then the next step would be, of course, is to glue your letters on. And I'll start with the H. Pick it up. And I had it about here. I just kind of eyeball it. I really don't measure. And, you know, I have about 2 fingers on each side. Now we're going to go with the M. And then the E. Then the next thing I do, I take my rope. You can start anywhere. I tend to start at the top because my flowers can possibly hide where they come together. And you put a little hot glue. Try to do only small sections because the glue does dry. And I push this around that corner. Hold that a little bit. And I continue coming down. And I kind of press my glue in place to make sure the glue goes through the burlap to the backing. And now to the bottom of it. Make sure that's all down good. I go across the bottom here. I'm trying to keep this all in frame. It is a large project. Now I'll turn it and I'll come back up the other side with my continue with a little bit more glue till I get right to the corner. And being sure to press as I go. When I get up here, I turn the corner, but before I actually put my glue on, I measure where I need to cut my string, my rope. So it cuts right there. This rope is kind of hard to cut sometimes. Being sure not to catch your hanger in there, or you could if you wanted to. And then I make them come together right here. And then what I like to do with this rope as well is I go on and just freehand how I think a O should be. I think my H need to be up a little higher. Sometimes I have good luck peeling this off. Sometimes I don't. I want to move my H up just a little bit to give my O a little bit more space. So I'm going to move that H up a little bit. And move it up to about right there. And again, a little bit of moss came off, no problem. Just stick that right back on. Now I have plenty of room for my O. Let's shake that extra moss off. So I make an O just with the rope. And again, I would cut that like that. Then if you don't feel comfortable, you always could just kind of outline your O. Just so you can have a guideline to go by. I would do about half of it. So, I mean, you could have it just like this, H-O-M-E. Put a small bow right here, so when you're using it plain, put your sunflower there, it'd be one option. But we're gonna go on and make our bow. And to make our bow, only thing I do is I loop 1, 2. And since this ribbon is only printed on one side, when I get to this one here, I twist. When I get here, I twist. So I'm going to make a 2-loop bow, so I'm going to cut here. I take the rest of this here and make my tails. So I can make my tails any length I want. Then if you want to just kind of hold it in place while you twist it with some wire, put a little glue right there. And crunch. So that's the bow. Then I take some of this that's left over, maybe cut off a piece about 2 inches. And this is going to become the center part of my bow. I wrap it around and glue it on the back side. A little dab of glue on that side. pull this side here around. Just watch your fingers. The glue is kind of hot. And then you can puff your ribbon up. You could put your ribbon there if you want. I always go over to the side a little bit. That's just my preference. And since I'm using sunflowers on this one, I probably would take my bouquet, pull off one sunflower, and I probably would put a sunflower up here in the corner. So it would look like so. And I will hang this on the wall for you to see what it looks like totally finished. The other option you have, again, this is from the Dollar Tree, is take your scissors or wire cutter, and if you're going to make a wreath, you want to give yourself a little bit of room, and you would be using all of these if you're going to make your wreath. Take this and cut here, remove the paper. And all I did to make my wreath, this is still a little bit full, so I would cut off some of these here. And all I did was just bend this in shape, twist this together, and get the shape of a wreath. I would use a little bit of hot glue as I'm going. And that's how I made the wreath. I'll actually make this as well for you to see. This is still just a little bit too full for me. I'm going to take a few of these little yellows off because I want to use a few of those up there. Pull your green down a little bit here and bend the wire. It's important that you keep a little bit of the wire on because you notice that is really going to be the form for your wreath. I put some hot glue from here to about there. And stick that just like that. Then I would take a piece of this greenery here, put a little bit of hot glue on it, and maybe stick it into this part here. Now this doesn't have any wire in this little piece of fern-like. This one does not have any wire, but it still will allow you to bend it if you put enough glue on it. I make sure I put some hot glue in a few spots along the back of that leaf to help hold that in place, okay? Then I take this half of this and I bring it back down and glue it onto something else, like this little berry here. Probably put a little dot of glue on it. Yeah, I just pulled my wreath apart. So you can see how that's forming a wreath now. So you got a little bit of greenery still left. You could use this other piece here. Start there and maybe glue it from there to there. And that's an inexpensive way to make a wreath, a small wreath like this, instead of purchasing another wreath. You probably always could use a little bit of wire to kind of wire it more, but that would be the wreath if you wanted to use a wreath on it, which I'll finish that up in just one moment. Okay, so I'm going to go on and decorate the top of this now. All I'm going to do is Use my glue gun, put a dot of glue up on this corner right here. Then I probably would go in and put a sunflower right there. Well, I don't know what we did before the hot glue gun. Then probably a little greenery up there. Again, using a little hot glue. A couple of these little yellow picks from this here. And to hold these on, I don't have it right here with me, but normally I would have a little bit of Velcro, and I would just cut the back even with this and put some Velcro right here, have a small piece of Velcro here, and be able to stick that right on like that. And my wreath would be held on.